The anchor in me against corruption made me to make a big career change last year, becoming a full-time practicing lawyer. My experiences over the last 18 months as a lawyer has seeded in me a new entrepreneurial idea, which I believe is indeed worth spreading. So I share it with all of you here today, though the idea itself is getting crystallized, and I'm still writing up the business plan. Of course, it helps that fear of public failure diminishes as the number of ideas which has failed increases. I've been a huge fan of enterprise and entrepreneurship. Since 1993, I've explored, experienced, and experimented enterprise and capitalism to my heart's content. I built, along with my two brothers, the leading real estate company in my home state, Kerala, and then worked professionally with two of India's biggest businessmen, but in their startup enterprises. In 2002-03, when I stepped out of the pure play capitalistic sector to work on so-called social sector issues, I definitely did not have any grand strategy or plan to pursue and find for-profit solutions to addressing pressing public issues. When life brought about a series of death and near-death experiences within my close circle, which highlighted the need for an emergency medical response service in India similar to 911 in USA. To address this, I, along with 4 friends, founded Ambulance Access for All to promote life support ambulance services in India. For those from the developing world, there's absolutely nothing new in this idea. But as we envisioned it, we had 3 key goals: providing world-class life support ambulance service, which is fully self-sustainable from its own revenue streams, and universally accessible to anyone in a medical emergency, irrespective of the capability to pay. The service which grew out of this, dial 1298 for ambulance, with 1 ambulance in 2004, now has 100+ ambulances in 3 states and has transported over 100,000 patients and victims since inception. The service is fully self-sustainable from its own revenues without accessing any public funds, and the cross-subsidy model actually works, where the rich pays higher, poor pays lower, and the accident victims getting the service free of charge. The service responded effectively and efficiently during the unfortunate 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. And as you can see from the visuals, the service was responding and rescuing victims from the incident locations even before the police could cordon off the incident locations and formally confirm it as a terror strike. We ended up being the first medical response team in every incident location and transported 125 victims, saving lives. In tribute and remembrance of 26/11 attacks, over the last 1 year, we have actually helped a Pakistani NGO, Aman Foundation, to set up a self-sustainable life support ambulance service in Karachi, facilitated by Acumen Fund. It's a small message from us in our own small way to the enemies of humanity, of Islam, of South Asia, of India, and of Pakistan, that humanity will continue to bloom irrespective of such dastardly attacks. Since then, I've also co-founded 2 other social enterprises. One is Education Access for All, setting up schools in small-town India, and the other is Moksha Yoga Access, which is integrating rural supply chain on the foundations of self-help group-based microfinance. I guess we seem to be doing at least few things right because diligent investors and venture funds have committed over $7.5 million in funding, with the significance being these funds have come in as equity capital, not as grant or as philanthropy. Now I come back to the idea of the new social enterprise that I'm exploring. Corruption, bribes, and lack of transparency. You may be surprised to know that 8 speakers yesterday actually mentioned these terms in their talks. Bribes and corruption have both a demand and a supply side, with the supply side being mostly of greedy corporates, unethical businesses, and hapless common man, and the demand side being mostly politicians, bureaucrats, and those who have discretionary power vested with them. According to World Bank estimates, $1 trillion is paid in bribes every year, worsening the condition of the already worse off. Yet, if you analyze the common man, he or she does not wake up every day and say, let me see who I can pay a bribe to today, or let me see who I can corrupt today. Often, it is the constraining or the back-to-the-wall situation that the hapless common man finds himself or herself in that leads him to pay a bribe. In the modern-day world, where time is premium and battle for subsistence is unimaginably tough, the hapless common man simply gives in and pays the bribe just to get on with life. Now let me ask you another question. Imagine you are being asked to pay a bribe in your day-to-day life to get something done. What do you do? Of course, you can call the police, but what's the use if the police department is in itself steeped in corruption? Most definitely, you don't want to pay the bribe, but you also don't have the time, resources, expertise, or wherewithal to fight this. Unfortunately, many of us in this room are supporters of capitalist policies and market forces. Yet, the market forces around the world have not yet thrown up a service where you can call in, pay a fee, and fight the demand for a bribe, like a bribe buster service or 1-800-FIGHT-BRIBES or www.stopbribes.org or www.preventcorruption.org. Such a service simply do not exist. One image that has haunted me is from my early business days is of a grandmother, 70 plus years, being harassed by the bureaucrats in the town planning office. All she needed was permission to build 3 steps to her house from ground level, making it easier for her to enter and exit the house. Yet the officer in charge wouldn't simply give her the permit for want of a bribe. Even though it pricked my conscience then, I could not, or rather, I did not tend to her or assist her because I was busy building my real estate company. I don't want to be haunted by such images anymore. A group of us have been working on a pilot basis to address individual instances of demands for bribes for common services or entitlements. And in all 42 cases where we pushed back such demands, using existing and legitimate tools like the Right to Information Act, video, audio, or peer pressure, we have successfully obtained whatever our clients set out to achieve without actually paying a bribe, and with the cost of these tools being substantially lower than the bribe demanded. I believe that these tools that worked in these 42 pilot cases can be consolidated in standard processes in a BPO kind of environment and made available on web, call center, and franchised physical offices for a fee to serve anyone confronted with a demand for a bribe. The target market is as tempting as it can get. It can be worth up to $1 trillion being paid in bribes every year, or equal to India's GDP, and it is an absolutely virgin market. I propose to explore this idea further, to examine the potential of creating a for-profit, fee-based BPO kind of service to stop bribes and prevent corruption. I do realize that the fight for justice against corruption is never easy. It never has been and it never will be. In my last 18 months as a lawyer battling small and large-scale corruption, including the one perpetrated by India's biggest corporate scamster through his charities, I have had 3 police cases filed against me alleging trespass, impersonation, and intimidation. The battle against corruption exacts a toll on ourselves, our families, our friends, and even our kids. Yet I believe the price we pay is well worth holding on to our dignity and making the world a fairer place. What gives us the courage? As my close friend replied when told during the seeding days of the ambulance project, that it is an impossible task and the founders are insane to chuck up their blue chip jobs. I quote, "Of course, we cannot fail in this, at least in our own minds, for we are insane people trying to do an impossible task, and an insane person does not know what an impossible task is." Thank you.
Traffic is a global epidemic. US traffic is creating 45% of the world's air pollution. In the UK, time wasted in traffic costs $20 billion a year. Would you pay for cleaner air and a faster commute? Stockholm put it to a vote.
I voted for it, yes.
I voted for it.
I vote for it.
We're not old enough to vote.
We had to do something in Stockholm to improve the environment and to get a better flow in the traffic. We put a price on taking your car into the central parts of Stockholm, and we call that congestion charges.
If you start a system like this and it doesn't work on the first day, then you will be in big trouble. It must be perfect from day one.
There are 18 entry gates to the city. Each is equipped with cameras. Pictures are taken of the rear and front license plates. These pictures are sent to a central system that identifies the license plates and makes sure that the right person pays for the right passages.
One of the obstacles we overcame was the OCR, the optical character reading of the license plate. We went out to IBM's global organization and the R&D centers and find a very good software we could use, and we managed to implement it in 2 months' time.
This is the heart of the system where all images and passages are being processed. Over 99% of all pictures are correctly identified.
No, it's nice. This is how it should be all the time.
Behind me you can see the traffic, and the clock is 6 p.m. Before we had the congestion charging, the traffic was queuing up at this time of the day.
Jag tycker det är en bra idé.
I think it's a good idea because I think that we should take care of the environment in the city.
The traffic went down with about 22%, and the air pollution was about 14% better.
It's a huge international interest from different parts of the world, from the United States, from Latin America, from China, and it's really a pleasure to tell people not what we are planning to do, but what we actually have done in Stockholm.
I voted for it, yes I did. Not my husband, so but I did. I think he is not thinking like me for the future. I'm thinking for the children and the grandchildren.